Kate Beckinsale didn't plan on explaining herself to the internet. But after weeks of whispers, comments, and side-by-side screenshots dissecting her body, she finally spoke, and what she revealed wasn't about diets, Hollywood pressure, or cosmetic changes. It was about grief. Deep, layered, life-altering grief that had been quietly tearing her apart while the world watched from the outside. And once people heard her full story, the conversation changed. But to understand why this moment hit so hard, you have to go back to how it all started. It began with a single Instagram post. Nothing dramatic. No announcement. Just Kate sharing a moment from her life, the way she always has. But instead of comments about her work, her caption, or even the photo itself, something else took over the comment section. People zeroed in on her appearance. Her weight. Her body. Some claimed they were concerned. Others weren't as subtle. Speculation spread quickly. Screenshots made their way onto forums. Threads popped up questioning what was really going on with her. And as usual, the internet felt entitled to answers. What most people didn't realize was that Kate was already carrying more emotional weight than most could imagine. Behind the scenes, she was grieving the loss of her mother. Judy Lowe, Kate's mom, her closest confidant, and by her own words, the compass of her life, had passed away after a long battle with cancer. She was 78 years old. And while fans had seen occasional glimpses of Kate speaking about her mother's health in the past, very few understood how devastating those final months had been. Kate later described watching her mother suffer as immeasurable. Not just physically painful, but emotionally draining in a way that never really leaves you. The kind of experience that rewires your nervous system. The kind that follows you into silence. And this loss didn't exist in isolation. Because before losing her mother, Kate had already endured the deaths of her father and her stepfather. Her father passed away when she was still young, a loss that shaped much of her early life. But years later, she found stability and love again through her stepfather, actor Roy Battersby. And then, in January 2024, he passed away too. 3 parental figures. 3 deep losses. All within a relatively short span of time. Grief didn't just visit Kate Beckinsale. It stayed. She later explained that after her stepfather died, something inside her shifted. Not in a dramatic, visible way at first, but quietly. Subtly. Her appetite faded. Food stopped registering the way it used to. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't planned. It wasn't about control. It was her body reacting to trauma. In an Instagram reel addressing the comments about her weight, Kate finally explained what she had been experiencing. She said that the loss didn't just affect her emotions. It affected her physically. She described it as shock. As trauma. As something that caused her system to shut down in ways she didn't fully understand herself. She made it clear this wasn't about starving herself. It wasn't about appearance. It wasn't about chasing some Hollywood standard. It was grief taking over. She explained that when you're in that state, when you're processing loss after loss, your body doesn't behave normally. Hunger signals change. Energy disappears. Even basic routines feel foreign. And when people expect you to look fine while you're barely functioning inside, the disconnect becomes overwhelming. What hurt her the most wasn't just the speculation, it was the cruelty. Kate didn't lash out in anger. She didn't insult anyone directly. Instead, she expressed disappointment. She said she could never imagine speaking about someone else's body the way people had spoken about hers. That it simply wouldn't cross her mind. And that statement said everything. And that statement said everything. Because even in grief, she was still holding on to her values. She talked about how she was raised, by parents who taught her empathy, kindness, and restraint. People who believed in seeing others as human first. And losing those people made the comments sting even more, because they reminded her of everything she was missing. She admitted she misses them constantly. That the world feels dimmer without them. And for many fans, that was the moment the story stopped being about weight and became about something far deeper. Because Kate Beckinsale isn't the only public figure to experience this kind of scrutiny while grieving. In recent months, multiple celebrities have spoken out about receiving harsh comments regarding their appearance during periods of personal loss. The pattern is unsettling. When someone famous loses weight, the internet immediately demands an explanation. As if grief has a specific, acceptable look. Smile too soon, and you're heartless. Look tired, and you're unwell. Lose weight, and suddenly everyone's an expert. What rarely gets discussed is how trauma actually manifests. Grief doesn't follow a straight line. It doesn't move at a predictable pace. Some people eat more. Others eat less. Some withdraw. Others stay busy just to survive. And none of it is wrong, but all of it becomes public when you're famous. Kate's situation exposed a larger issue that goes beyond celebrity culture. It revealed how uncomfortable society is with visible grief. People say they want honesty from public figures, until that honesty makes them uncomfortable. Until it reminds them that fame doesn't shield anyone from loss. Until it forces them to confront pain they'd rather scroll past. Kate didn't ask for sympathy. She didn't ask for pity. She asked for basic humanity. She acknowledged that people may not understand what she's going through, but that doesn't justify cruelty. And she made it clear that despite everything, she refuses to become bitter or unkind in return. That choice matters. Because grief can harden people. It can make them angry. Defensive. Closed off. And yet, even while processing unimaginable loss, Kate chose empathy. She chose restraint. She chose to speak, not to defend herself, but to explain. And in doing so, she sparked a necessary conversation about how we talk about bodies, trauma, and loss, especially when it comes to women in the public eye. Toward the end of her message, Kate reflected on her mother once more. She spoke about how much she misses her. How her mom wasn't just a parent, but her closest friend. The person she turned to for guidance, comfort, and grounding. Losing that kind of presence doesn't just leave a hole, it changes everything. And when you combine that pain with constant online judgment, it becomes unbearable. Her words landed quietly, but powerfully. No dramatic music. No viral rant. Just truth. And maybe that's why they resonated so deeply. Because in a world obsessed with appearances, Kate Beckinsale reminded everyone of something far more important, that behind every image is a human being. One who feels loss. One who breaks. One who grieves. And sometimes, the body tells that story long before words ever do.